What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unhinged Talk. As usual, I'm your host, Patrick Hennessy, joined tonight by Paris Givizina-Fantos, Brian DeGenero, and Sean Petrucci. How are we doing tonight, boys?
Fantastic.
Oh, I was going to say fantastic.
Still Brian's
happy to be here.
Happy to be here, too. Unfortunately, the Yankees suck, though. I think that's something that none of us could debate at this point, even though Para and Brian have their little debate podcast going on. Shout out Chicken Bucket
we
Boys.
both take outside, don't worry.
Chicken Bucket Boys. Follow us on Instagram.
Honestly, looking at the Yankees, it's super difficult at this point to find any bright spots. Obviously, they have maybe two, maybe three guys in the offense who are actually producing lately on a consistent basis when everyone else sucks. But in the rotation, it's even shakier than that. I mean, with James Paxton out, you're really relying on Garrett Cole and Masahiro Tanaka to guide that rotation in the playoffs, which they're barely getting to at this point, keep in mind. But I want to focus on one guy tonight who has come up kind of flip-flop in the Yankees organization as far as hopes and potential goes. I mean, in the start, we were all super high on Deivi Garcia. And then as time went on, kind of like fell off on him, didn't think that he was a starter. But he has been called up to the major leagues, and in his first two starts, I'm super impressed with Deivi Garcia. The way, not only the way he carries himself on the mound, but the production that he gets on the mound as well. I mean, in his first two starts, you couldn't have asked for any better. I'm pretty sure against the Mets in his MLB debut, he went, 6 shutout innings?
Mm-hmm.
Something stupid like that.
One unearned run.
Yeah, one unearned run. And then in his last start against Baltimore, he did have 4 earned runs, but they were kind of out of his control once they brought in Clark Schmidt to make his MLB debut out of relief with runners on base, which is a ludicrous idea. But Paris, start us off and just give us your input on how you, not only what you currently think about Deivi Garcia, but where you see him in the Yankees' future.
So, for a lot of you who have watched our podcast, I've always criticized Deivi Garcia and always saw him as not a guy who doesn't have potential in being in the starting rotation. I always saw him as a bullpen guy. But Deivi Garcia has shown to us that he could be a number 4 or 5 future starter for the Yankees, especially with Clark Schmidt lined up and Jordan Montgomery. But I feel like after 2 starts, you kind of want to see it on a consistent basis. You don't want to just see it in just 2 games. And also shout out to Pat, who actually got an answer from Deivi Garcia about him wearing number 45 on his belt. Everybody thought he stole Garrett Cole's powers, but it was actually in honor of Pedro Martinez that night. But going forward, I actually would like to see Deivi Garcia in the rotation. So I take back what I say, and I hope he proves me wrong and actually is a strong force alongside Severino, Tanaka, Cole, and Montgomery. So
I really miss Sevy. Imagine we would have had Sevy this season.
Oh, man.
And Herman.
Game changer. Oh, Herman. Don't you get me started about Herman.
That guy.
Pre-domestic.
He would, that he is actually eligible for the postseason. It's not like they would ever use him in a starting role or in any big role.
I could see them bring
but he's
him in,
eligible.
Yeah.
If the Yankees do make if the Yankees magically make the playoffs, if they make the playoffs this year, do you guys see Paxton being 100% fully healthy in that rotation?
No.
It depends when he comes back. I mean, if he's back by the end of September, I don't know. I really don't know.
The season does end September 27th, and they have to make a West Coast trip to California if they do make the playoffs. So
that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, as far as Paxton goes, I could see them possibly going into the playoffs using an opener for him. Maybe have Chad Green or Loizaga whenever he comes back, because he's hurt too now with an undisclosed medical injury as well. So you have an opener come in for maybe the first 1 or 2 innings, and then you throw Paxton out there, hoping to give him for him to give the team maybe 3, maybe 4 innings.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to hear Sean's input on Deivi Garcia, because many of you probably don't even know Sean. This is his first time on our podcast. So Sean, let us know what you think about Deivi.
Welcome to the circus.
The circus.
I think last year when he was in Double-A, I think a lot of people were really high on this guy. I mean, he was oh, we can't trade him. If we trade him, it's got to be for a top of the line kind of starter. And then once he got promoted to Triple-A, it's oh, is he not ready for this? His numbers started to fall off. Was he out of gas? But I think right now he's either fits in the back end of this rotation for next year, or they could just put him in a package and trade him away. Because right now he's looking really good, and I think a lot of teams would want him.
See, I think that they obviously his value right now is probably the highest it'll ever be. But the issue with the Yankees is I think they're concerned that they're gonna end up trading a guy who might go to another team and become an ace. I think it was Bob Klappich who reported this a few days ago that the emergence of Deivi Garcia in his MLB debut is one of the primary reasons why the Yankees didn't go out and get a starting pitcher at the trade deadline. Because after seeing that one start, they're so high on him that A, they don't want to trade him to another team, and B, they didn't think that any of the options they could have gotten from another team would have been as good as Deivi.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair.
I got a question for you, Brian.
Oh boy.
Heading into the offseason, obviously the Yankees rotation still has question marks. Unless they win the World Series, they definitely have moves to make. And even if they do somehow find a way to win the World Series, they still have moves to make. But in this offseason going into next year, would you trade Deivi Garcia? And if so, what would it take in order for you to trade him?
Yeah, I'd trade him, but it'd have to be for someone good. I mean,
so he's not untouchable at this point.
no, definitely not. I mean, he's had a couple of decent starts in the MLB, and that's a great sign. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely want to see more of him. You know, I'm not totally sold on him yet, and I think if they could get a proven starter who we know is going to slot in as a number 2 or a number 3, I think you have to pull the trigger on that. I mean, obviously, it would have to depend on what else you would have to give up for him. But Deivi is not untouchable right now. No.
I mean, if you really look down the line in the last couple of years, the Yankees have always held on to prospects thinking that they're going to break out. And they've always started off great in their first 5 games. And then after that, it all goes to loose. Like we saw with Jesus Montero, he was promising. And Duhart had a great rookie year. And then he hurt his shoulder, and now he's struggling. He went
3 for 4 today. Relax.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
He's back.
Third baseman back on Monday.
Not with the glove.
We're good to go.
Oh my God, his play today was atrocious with Wade. I mean, it just seems like anytime Miguel Andujar's in the field, it's just like you're gonna expect an error to be made, and if it's not an error, it's just like a boneheaded play.
Do you guys still wish we had Didi Gregorius on this team rather than Tyler Wade?
Okay, yeah. Rather than Tyler Wade, yeah.
In the offseason, I was perfectly fine with letting him go, but right now, I would love to have Didi Gregorius.
I think it made sense to let him go. Like I don't hold it against them for letting him go, but it'd be great to have him now.
Yeah, like they say, hindsight's always 20/20. And I think our boy Dan Rourke posted on Twitter today. He said that he's like, I hate admitting I'm wrong, but I was wrong about the Yankees not resigning.
Did he finally admit the judge's injury prone?
He didn't. He didn't admit that yet. We're getting close to that point, though. But I mean, I'm on the same bandwagon with Didi. I mean, you guys know I was a firm believer of like not re-signing Didi, but we could have never expected the infield to just have this many injuries again. If they would have re-signed Didi and they didn't have this many injuries in the infield, I don't know where they would have played.
But that's the sad thing about this infield. Gleyber Torres just came off the IL yesterday, and you decided to give him a day's rest and then bring him in the 7th inning as a defensive replacement.
Makes no sense.
You have Aaron Hicks, and you're starting. Who did they not bring Hicks over?
I think they brought in Hicks for Talkman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to play them in the 7th inning, start them the entire game. It makes no sense.
I understand what the point of rest is at that point. Then, if
he's a 23-year-old Yankee, like one of the top Yankee players they have, and you're going to bench him right after he comes.
I mean,
he's a professional athlete.
He does that every time he sits a player. They always end up popping up in the last 3 innings in some fashion.
Well, we know Sean's a big fan of Boone, though.
Yeah.
He's being exposed right now. He's being exposed.
I mean, this season, I think we talk about this every time we go live or we go on a podcast. We can all agree that we think the Yankees are going to bring back Boone next season, but I think we could also agree that it would not be the right move.
No.
Especially judging how this team is performing this year. And I understand they have injuries. Exactly. But if you look at Tampa's team, they have more injuries than we do to pivotal parts of their team. And they're in first place, flying high.
And when people bring up the excuse, like they're trying to say Boone's not a bad manager because he won 100+ games in his first 2 seasons. Bro, any manager that has come to this organization that coached this team would have won 100+ games.
But shout out Yankees Facebook.
But look, I mean, at the same time, you have to give him some credit. Like he seems to have done a better job last year of keeping morale high, at least. You know, last year it felt like there was something special with this team, even though there were so many injuries. This year,
you have to do it on a consistent basis, Brian. You can't just come out and say.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Meredith Marakovitz asked him an easy question today. Why did you decide to pull the trigger and bring in Luis Cessa over Masahiro Tanaka in the 6th inning? And he was trying to re-question the thing. He was like acting confused. Like, it's a simple
because
question.
he needed time to buy an answer. That's all he needed.
That's not necessarily on Boone, because I think a lot of this is predetermined.
Of course that's on Boone.
No, I think a lot of this is predetermined by the analytics department.
Bro, the bullpen moves within a game. It cannot be determined by the analytics department. They could set the lineups, but they can't determine the in-game situations.
Nope.
So
did he ever give an explanation for bringing in Clark after Deivi? Did he ever give an explanation for that?
I think
he said that was the plan. He said that was the plan, and they stuck to it, which is always what he says.
So maybe the analytics department does have some say, but like I always say, the Yankees have one of the most deep analytics departments, but it just seems like these boneheaded decisions are made that don't really rely on analytics. I mean, what analytics are telling you bringing Clark Schmidt in out of relief, which he's never done in the major leagues. He's never pitched in a major league game with runners on base is the way to go. What analytics tell you Miguel Andujar in left field or Miguel Andujar at third base is the way to go. It's ludicrous, but I want to go back to Deivi. Just one last key point here. Where do you guys see like Deivi's ceiling? Because personally, like he's pitched out of his mind his first start, and he pitched well in his second start against the Orioles. But I think that his ceiling with the Yankees is probably a number 3. And if he could be a number 3 for the Yankees, that would be the best case scenario.
The thing is with the Yankees is he doesn't need to be the 1. He doesn't need to be the 2. And sometimes he probably doesn't even need to be the 3.
Yeah.
You know, if they bring back the Tanaka, boom, it's 4 or 5. That's perfect. I think a lot of teams would love that. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think he's got potential. I don't think that he has the potential to be an ace, but again, it doesn't need to be. If he can be a solid starter for us, a solid number 4, I think that's great.
Well, I mean, if they traded him to a team like the Brewers, he would go there and be an ace, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like 100%. He would turn into like Sonny Gray, because Sonny Gray is an absolute dog with the Reds now. But we all saw that coming. I don't think anyone second guessed that if Sonny Gray went to another team that he would have been an ace. That was just a given. We knew that was going to happen.
He already did it with Oakland. So.
We gave him up for nothing. But unless you guys have anything else to interject, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today.
That's it.
Solid quality. Be sure to check us out every day. We have daily content, editorial, and media. We go live mostly after every game. Check us out. It's fun. If the Yankees lose, it's very depressing. If they win, it's a little bit of fun lately, but we haven't had many of those experiences. Go check out Dugout mugs. Purchase a Yankees Dugout mug, link in bio. And on that note, we will see you guys next time. Have a good one.